Right now, the crypto market is more of a macro market because we are getting impacted by the macro news. In next 22 hours, we're going to get the FOMC meeting coming in. So what does that actually mean? If they're going to do a small hike, they're going to give you the highlight of what they're going to do the next month. Will also impact the market, right? The market will look for the future decisions for sure, but yet you will see speculations saying, can Bitcoin really go higher like gold? Gold is a safe haven asset. Bitcoin is a risk on asset. So we need to understand the difference there and look what the dollar is doing. Dollar is inside this channel and right now it's at the midpoint. So in next 24 hours, if the market is saying like, okay, we are going to do a 25 basis point, we're going to do another couple of them, which means dollar can be strong in the short run. Now, that's not to say like it is already devalued from the peak. If you remember what we were talking from September, October, and where we are now, it's more or less like the target which we were talking about. Now, right now when the Bitcoin price is moving back up, remember what we discussed when we were here at the peak, because history is there. The price action is always there. We learn from the market and we do understand that the market is going to do something like this, which will give us the ability to understand what the crypto market is about to do. On short term, I've already informed my members saying like, we are retesting this, but I don't really have that high confidence that we are going to break higher into the pattern. Now, if that happens, that's great, that's cool. But right now, it does look like a retest, right? We may actually come back to this 22,700, 22,500. We may range in between. But that's not to say like, we do see breakouts, the opportunities in the market where, we have literally, a render token has literally went through all this. You look at this. Now, these are literal resistance points which I've floated before. When we were here, we were just breaking higher. That's earlier this month. So say 23 days back. And in that time frame, we have already done 250% and hit all our targets. So I'm looking like, okay, we came here, we broke the first level of resistance. We tested that as a support. We did not get that as a resistance. Or the bulls were so strong, it kicked out the bears at that level. So market can also do this, and there are meme coins which are doing that right now. You look at the 3-day chart, Dogecoin is showing you wonders. So what does that actually mean? One, the macro market is playing out, and inside the crypto market, you're seeing Dogecoin or other meme coins starting to take more volume. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of the world. So yes, we are right now observing these meme coins getting more money, more volume, more attention coming through. Now, if you remember, we had our calls on these and it's actually doing those. Right now, yes, I agree, crypto market shows a lot of opportunity like these. Just before the breakout, we were like, okay, this is about to break higher. Look at this. Now it's already 70% up. The target is 120. So we are already halfway through. Then we had multiple calls on different assets like DYDX and others. And right now here we are. We were saying, okay, this is going to go to the support and bounce. Then look at what happened. It actually dropped to that support. It actually bounced. So you're 166% up already. So the market is giving you these short-term fluctuations. Agreed. So if you have the ability to look at that and say like, okay, this is a pattern which I recognize and this is the ROI which I'm looking at. Now you understand the language of technical analysis and you get the point, right? RSI is always a leading indicator. It's breaking higher, it's showing you I'm going to do this and then the price follows. That's what we see in most of these assets. So right now, yes, the talk is about XRP. We are here. We had a similar pattern back in the days and we were actually trying to test that a couple of times. We got above the moving average, as you can see, and then we retested the moving average. So here, one, we are above the moving average. It's good, it's great. So we need to retest the moving average and then bounce. Now, you don't have too much room to the downside inside the same pattern. If you go on a 2-hour chart, an hourly chart to see the most noise in the market for this asset, I would agree on the point like, okay, yeah, even if we drop a little bit, that's fine because this range was a previous support, and I think that can act as another level of support when we come down. So if that's true, now we are going to get a bounce like this and break through. So the short-term measured move is going to be somewhat like 7%, which is not a big deal. But understand, the price reaching 0.44 or 0.45 means after a long time we are back testing this level. This was a support, and before that it was a resistance. So right now reaching that level shows us that the market is really interested in hanging on to this trend line. Now that's really important. Clear all these levels and keep this in mind. The market has been responding to this particular level, which is important. Now, what's negative here? The MACD is crossing to the downside. Except that, I would say everything else looks fine because the price is right now trying to break higher, meaning it actually did more than 50% of the last engulfing candle. So you got an engulfing candle, which is bearish. I agree on that point. But what we are observing right now is something we have already seen in XRP markets, right? So for example, if you look back here, we actually got an engulfing candle, which actually erased the previous gains. But just after that, we got a candle where the price action showed like, no, I'm coming back, erasing more than 50% of that move. You consolidated there and continued higher. We know what followed. Great. So that's why it's important to actually look at this on a short term and say like, okay, I'm seeing something which happened in the past coming back here. Now, if that happens to be like this by the end of the day, it's even better because now you're matching the amount of sellers the last day. You are kicking them out or whatever units they dumped into the market, but the current bulls have already bought it. That will be the narrative. Now, that's a daily chart, agreed, right? What we as a unit is interested in is how things are evolving on the longer time horizon. And that's where it's really interesting. Yes, on a short-term scenario, the daily, you are observing that the MACD is crossing to the downside. But look at this. When you observe a macro, MACD has already crossed to the upside and it is trying to reach the positive zone. That's where you usually get higher volume, higher momentum. You can see this, right? When we reach into the positive zone, we got a lot of momentum on the bullish side, on the bearish side. So if the history is about to repeat, now we are here. We don't have enough momentum in the market. But as soon as we enter into the positive range in the MACD, look at what happens in the price. It just runs up. So here we had a macro level of resistance. Those who were with me back then in those days know what we were talking about. Now this is YouTube, right? Everything is there in the market. It's already stored in the data. You can go back to the date, say March 2020. I think it was like 13th March 2020. A lot of people were saying, okay, Bitcoin is going to run higher, but XRP is not going to follow. Bitcoin is dropping and it's going to drop to this level, that level. You'll get a lot of different opinions. But what's happening in the market right now is that this asset class is here to stay, and especially look at the fundamentals. Fundamental assets are holding on. Yes, we got a massive drop here with the Terra Luna crisis, but afterwards we are still hanging on to this. That means a lot of people consider this asset as a huge opportunity when it is close to $0.3. Whenever it comes back down, you see it bouncing back, and historically speaking, that has been true. It's like, not a year or two. We are looking for like last 4-5 years, and we see whenever the price come into this range, people are interested in this asset. They are buying more. Now, when the FOMO happens, it's a different story. You get to see higher momentum. When you are in an accumulation phase, this is what you actually see, right? You slowly go back up, you drop. You slowly go back up, you drop. And you're respecting one range. Here, this range happens to be a support. So what we really want to see is what the MACD suggests us, what the RSI suggests us, a breakout retest and a bounce. So we are still here waiting. As we know, XRP, based on the market efficiency, we are slow. But on a 3-day chart, getting this pattern right now here is really good. because it's close to a resistance where you're getting this pattern, the price action. And if that stands true, we first will have an attempt like this, right? You go in, you test the resistance. And here the resistance is so close, even a 5% move is going to break through that. And that is the primary reason why I took you guys through the short-term scenario for XRP, because the short-term narrative here right now shows you can have a breakout to the upside with around 7% target. Now, this is a bull flag. Usually, we happen to see a break to the upside. But what's the negative thing inside this? Bitcoin, if it's dropping back to 22,900, 22,700, 22,500, now that means the market as a whole may slow down. So now we are looking at this and saying like, okay, Bitcoin can actually slow us down even though we are looking bullish, right? We agree on that point, and we have been repeating this from some time. Like, this level has to be retested. We know that this is a previous resistance, which was like, strong a couple of times. Now coming back and retesting that is actually healthy. Now, this is crypto market. If a lot of whales decides, no, I'm going to buy more, it's going to go up. But if you look at this on the wave kind of thing and you believe this is a correction, now you will say A, B, C. You want to actually see the price coming back down here, right? So if it retests this range and bounce, we are happy. But that bounce should actually be able to go above this level so that we can say, okay, now things are changing. But, things can happen in the market, meaning you go up, you may retest this, you come down and then bounce, which is also a great thing to see. You can see that thing evolving in the market. But again, last time when Bitcoin dropped, it decided to go back up. We thought there is going to be a possibility for the same structure here, but Bitcoin told us, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going back up. It made a new structure and put in a higher high and went up. But again, if you keep this in mind and say, okay, that's the recent past and that's the data, what I'm looking forward to, Bitcoin will also show you that, okay, it is now in a huge parabolic run. And whenever we see these parabolic runs, it also follows a correction. Now, we haven't seen such a correction yet. And the MACD on a daily suggests like, okay, we are breaking to the downside. So historically, that brings us some kind of correction. But right now, we're not completely going bearish or corrective. We'll say, okay, on a 3-day chart, we're already crossing to the upside. We reached this positive zone. If you remember what we discussed about XRP right now, we already told you when MACD is in the positive zone, that's when the momentum is higher. When the MACD is in the negative zone, that's when the momentum is higher to the downside. You can see these. You go retest the moving average, and then what happens? Boom, to the downside. Why? Your MACD is trending to the downside and it is in the negative territory. Right now, MACD is in the positive territory. You broke the moving average, you bounced. Now coming back to test the moving average. Now remember, moving average right now is close to 19,000, but now the price is above the moving average. There's a 3-day candle, so each candle is 3 days. So by the time the price comes back down, the moving average is coming back up. That's why you are most likely going to see that support of 20,000 is going to be the meeting point for the moving average and the price. And then what happens is most likely, as we just saw here or discussed here, you're going to see something like this. The price decides to consolidate or follow the indicators, because remember, these indicators are nothing. It's created directly from the price action. So in the price action, we get a lot of noise, which makes it a little bit difficult to analyze, go through and all. But over the time, say last 7 years, I've understood something like, okay, RSI is something to keep in mind about. MACD is something to follow. Because say, for example, if 40% of the traders across the globe are using RSI and MACD, that means if you see an opportunity, they also see that. Now, if you see that, and if you are so busy in your life and you're not able to look at all those opportunities popping up, you can literally look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below, where we go through a lot of different assets on a regular basis. So you don't have to sit and find these assets and look for the updates, right? Now, why does that actually matter again? Because now you understand that when you get on a trade, there's a lot of other people who are getting on that trade, which means the market is efficient, you'll reach that target, which is the easy explanation for that. So yes, again, short term, we do see a possibility like this, but on the macro, it's all bullish, it's all good. The MACD is in the positive zone. Now, again, if you are like, okay, my time zone in the market is going to be a little bit longer, I'm looking at a weekly chart, I'm like, okay, great, fine, look at this. The RSI just broke higher and it went parabolic to the upside. And when you get this, historically speaking, when you get these kind of moves, you stay there, you consolidate and continue higher. So based on history, we know that Bitcoin has done something in the past where it broke a range and never came back to retest that until it completed that wave structure. It came back to test this. If you put our horizontal line here as the resistance and the support, you can see exactly what happened after the run up. So saying it had to come back down to 17, 18,000 can be a wrong thing. Because in the history, we have seen this. It goes above the moving average. The MACD follows in the positive territory. You run higher. You want to get more noise? Go in deep. Look at what the MACD was showing on a 3-day chart. You broke higher, and with that, you actually see the moving averages like the MACD, the convergence and divergence reaching the positive zone. You never came back. You went all the way up. So the price was at 3,000. It went to 14,000 before it actually decides to correct back down. And when it was correcting back down, remember this was the pattern. Now you have fear, greed, all those playing in the market, which actually creates a lot of panic and volatility. We are not going to be a part of that because that is uncalculatable. Even if you put in time, you really don't know how long it can go. Here, it did touch the range, but sometimes it can wick even lower, kick you out and then move back up, right? So the grand scenario here is you are starting to move back up. Major resistance is going to be 25, the first one. Then the macro is going to be here, 30,000. But by that time, you will observe a lot of these crypto assets going up. Some of these which are correcting right now shows a lot of opportunity. The assets have fundamentals. TA is showing you opportunity because afterwards, what happens? They run up and they reach this category. Top gainers in the last week. So if you look at those and you're like, okay, I'm prepared to understand what the fundamental is, I'm ready to look for the technical analysis, now you have the edge in the market. You can seize these opportunities and that actually gives you the edge, right? Mask is 27% up for the day and you see like 37% for this week. And if you remember what we were talking about, Mask, this was the opportunity. If you were prepared for the breakout, you already knew what's coming in. And even if you are saying like, okay, I'm a little bit conservative, you're waiting for this break higher and a retest. And when it's bouncing, now you know, okay, we got the confirmation. So yeah, you miss a little bit, but you still get the opportunity to ride that confirmation. Now, if you decide to trade, look at this. There's going to be a macro volatility creator in next 24 hours. So I'll say, unless you're super sure about what Fed is going to talk for the next couple of hikes, because right now the consensus is like they're going to do a 25 basis point this time. The main bullet points for the investors would be what they decide for the future. The inflation is already dropping. So if they're still saying, I'm going to do a couple more 25 basis point hikes, the March, the May and all, that means you have pressure, meaning the dollar is going to bounce back up the short term. Now, if they're saying like, okay, we only have 75 basis points for the entire year and we are going to do just a 25 now and wait and see how the market responds, it's fine. Or if they're going to say we're going to have one more, it's still fine. But because that one more won't be 25, if they have to keep this going for the entire year, now they really don't have enough firepower. If they do that, almost all the loans, mortgages and all side, you're going to see them going down. Now, for Fed, that's not what they really want. They really want you to lose your job. Basically, you to lose your purchasing power. So you're not buying things. The price of these things drop. That's what they want. Now, if you're here in the market to learn, get educated about financial freedom, about investment and assets. So you are in the right place. We look through this and understand how things are evolving. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.